All right. Hey, Coaches Up for Change. It is Dee Corchin. Meg is here. Our monthly leadership call for executive director and above. Even if you haven't hit that rank, but you've been there before, you are welcome here. Or if you have people on your team, because we want to help those and provide this forum for those of you guys that want to grow, right? Because you've indicated to us your passion is big for this mission and you want to grow. And if you want to grow, we're here to support you. So glad we could be flexible with the holiday last week. We're doing this week. And just wanted to kind of start it with get a finger on the pulse of if you had to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being my energy and my motivation are super high, or 1 being I am dragging. Where would you say you are right now? Just we keep it real in this group. 2, 3, 2.5. Did I just see a 5? Awesome. 2. Okay. Appreciate your honesty.
What are we rating? I'm sorry, I just
Thanks
joined.
for asking the question, Lucy. So I was asking on a scale just to kind of get a finger on the pulse of where we are right now as a group and as individuals and as a group. If you had to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 on your like energy level, your motivation right now, and that's motivation, personal health, the business, everything. 5 being like I am charged up, I am ready to roll, and 1 I am dragging. Where would you rate yourself? And no pressure as 21 of us watch what your answer is.
I just put it in 3.5.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, so let me ask. So Lori Cole, you are a 4. Can you share with us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. One of the things I was dragging for a while, so I just want to start with that and tell you that it was like my feet were in concrete. I couldn't figure out what to do next. Oh, there I am, large. I couldn't figure out how to put one foot in front of the other. And I did a few things. I jumped on an 8-week habit finder course. I have been attending training I did Saturday, but most of all, I have been involved in some face-to-face community things. I hosted my own Lean and Green night at my house, which was super scary for me and had a decent turnout. I live in an apartment, so I was really nervous. I was like, am I going to have 1 million people or am I going to have no people? And I ended up having 10. And then the second thing I did was this weekend I went and helped Vicky with her event in Charlotte. And just being in community with other people is helpful to me.
Yeah, that is so good. And as your mentor, I kind of knew where you were, so that made me happy to see a shift. And it's a reminder of, Og Mandino and the Habit Finder. They always in the scrolls. He talks about our emotions being a wheel, right? And so it flows through. I'm going to be honest with you. Yesterday, I don't know why I feel like sharing this today, but yesterday morning, you guys know I've gone through a divorce, and there is a grief cycle with that. I have been doing fantastic, and out of the blue, bam, like hit like on my knees, down and out. And but I'm learning like through my counselor or whatever to let it flow through. And I was actually really surprised that it flowed through. And honestly, by like later in the day, I was okay. So now sometimes these things take longer, but I just want you to know wherever you are right now, there is, you know what I mean? We can shift and grow out of it. But I also heard you say, Laura, you were proactive, right? So staying involved in tough seasons like we've been in, the it's up to us. This is like where the work needs to be done, right? Because things are easy when it's easy, right? We don't really have to look at ourselves and in the mirror. But personal development is super, super important during this time. Being connected. And just yesterday in my church service, it was our big, it's called Be Rich. And they do a big campaign, and all the money that in time that comes 100% goes out. And the person who was speaking, he is the leader of Convoy of Hope. And he said, the best way to purpose and fulfillment is when you're giving and serving. to other people. And so just by hosting that event, Lori, you gave a piece of yourself, right? You gave a piece of yourself, you showed, into your home. Like, that's a very vulnerable space to be in. But by doing that, it sounds like it's having a ripple effect. So a couple of things we're going to talk about today, and I definitely want to have this be interactive in a bit, but I listened to a really good podcast yesterday, and there was a guy that was being interviewed. His name is Derek Grant. But he was talking about the evolution of the metamorphosis of a butterfly. And he said, the butterfly, like one of his favorite quotes is, and I'm going to say what his real favorite quote was, but his second favorite was that you already have everything you need within you. Right? Like, how many times have you ever accomplished something and you're like, wow, like I probably could have done that before. I just didn't even know that was in me. So everything you have is within you. And he gave the analogy of a butterfly coming through metamorphosis, and the butterfly is in there, right? But it's got to go through the layers in order to come out. So he talked about, we as individuals, we have limiting beliefs, we have thought patterns, et cetera. And it's when we get into a space of starting to identify those limiting beliefs and actions and behaviors that have held us back from coming out of our own cocoon. And your cocoon can be your mood too, right? Like, you could be inward in your mood. By learning to identify that, then you're in a better place. Once you see, then you're in a better place to be able to evolve from it. But this quote has stuck with me since I heard it. And I'll put it in the chat after, but he said, what you think will be and what will be was what you thought. Thought that was pretty good. So, Meg, you and I have been talking. I think you rated yourself as like a 3, honestly, in the chat. So we've been kind of talking and working through some stuff with you, so just maybe a little transparency on the topic of gratitude and what we were talking about last week.
Yeah, I love that. And I really appreciate, Lori, how you shared the shift that you experienced. And in full transparency, last week I was a 1. Like, I was a 1. And I have this little picture that I keep. I love it. It says, I still remember when I prayed for the things that I have now. And this means so much to me, and something that I love to reflect on, because I do remember when I prayed for the things that I have right now. And sometimes it's easy to forget, like where we all started with this thing. And so just wanted to share, last week I was struggling. I was definitely in a funk. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't feel like myself, and I knew I wasn't myself. So I talked to Dee about it, because I always want to be really open whenever I get like that, right? And just kind of share it, especially with my mentorship. And then I started shaming myself for feeling bad. I started shaming myself for resting. Does anybody have that voice of shame that's like in their ear? I named mine Roz, and Roz is real mean. And, but I was thinking a lot about this. Shame isn't a prescription for action, right? It's really ineffective, right? We know shame is incredibly ineffective at making us take action. And I was thinking about, I was shamed a lot as a kid. We probably all were. That was kind of the way everybody parented back then. And it usually was around cleaning up my room. I have a lot of vivid memories about being shamed around that. And you know what? It didn't make me want to clean my room anymore. It actually did a reverse. And so I was thinking about what did make me want to take action as a little kid. And it was when I got something new for my room, right? Or maybe there was a new thing on the wall. Maybe a friend was coming over. Maybe it was something I felt grateful for. And so it really made me reflect on gratitude. Gratitude, a lot of times, is what we need to shift us into action. And so I've been doing some research on why gratitude is so helpful. And one of the things I learned, gratitude changes the neurostructures in our brain to make us feel happier and feel more content. That probably doesn't surprise you. You probably know that on some level. Gratitude has been proven to reduce our aggression, our frustration, and our regret after we receive negative feedback. Did you know that gratitude gives us better sleep, makes us sleep better, makes us feel less physical pain, lower levels of inflammation, lower blood pressure, and it also increases our optimism and increases our sleep quality by 25%. So I want to ask you, when do you exercise your own gratitude? Like, take a minute, really, in the chat, like, let us know, when do you exercise gratitude? Is it something that you exercise every day? Do you exercise gratitude in the morning? Is it a part of your morning routine? Is it something you do maybe middle of the day? You have a timer that you set on your phone to remind you. You can name alarms in the iPhone. And so one of my intentions in my iPhone is to be grateful and practice that gratitude. Think of something that I'm grateful for. What about in the evening? Before you wrap up the day, do you take some time to be grateful? I've noticed personally in my life, and I wonder if you've noticed it too, but it's one of the things that can shift my mood and shift me into action, shift me into feeling optimistic, and make a really big difference in the impact that I can have. So I would love to know, what are you grateful for right now? Right now, in this moment. It might be something cute on your desk. It might be a friend you see right now on screen. It might be the fact that it's a beautiful fall day wherever you are. But think about one thing that you're grateful for. And then I want to just encourage you, I hope this is okay, Dee, to take action right now. Pick up your phone and text your one client that comes to mind. One of your clients, could be a past client, but text them one thing that you are grateful for right now. And it might be, hey, Emily, I am so grateful for your friendship and your honesty. Or maybe, hey, I'm grateful that you schedule a time to talk to me even when you don't want to. Or, hey, I'm really grateful for the success that you've had because it reminds me why I love doing what I do. But I just challenge you, pick up your phone and share that gift of gratitude with
I
one.
love you.
What, Emily?
I just said I love you. That was so sweet to use me as your example.
Well, I love you right back. But yeah, so take a minute and do that and see the shift that you will experience. And the cool thing is it'll have a ripple effect into changing somebody else's whole day. All right, Dee, that's all I got. You're muted.
All right. Well, I wanted to give you guys a second because you got to write your text out, right? So I was just getting mine done. I have a new client, and honestly, it's been a bit of a desert when it comes to new clients. But this girl is so on fire. And the one thing I'm going to thank her for is I love her enthusiasm, and she responds to every, the daily text. She responds and she like tells me what she did or what she's feeling or whatever. So that makes me happy because like it just fuels my passion. Like, wow, like here's somebody with their whole future ahead of her, and to be able to witness that and see her play an active role in it is really cool. So the next thing we're going to just talk about, because we have to, the Saturday's leadership event was phenomenal. We're going to come back to that in a few minutes, but I think one of the biggest messages is we have to lead ourselves, right? We have to lead ourselves and be doing the things like Meg said, gratitude, whatever, like that awareness of where we are. But we're in charge, right? And we have to be careful what we're surrounding ourselves with. I was reminded the other day that I actually was on the same podcast, but he was just talking about like, you are going to absorb the energy of what's around you. So if you're around people that are negative, that are complaining, like, I don't know, has that even happened in the business? Like you're really far down and you're like, our business kind of sucks right now. Like, how are you? And then somebody else is like, well, mine's down. And then before they're like, I know, well, geez, the company needs to do something about this. You know what I mean? And before you know it, you can just end up down a rabbit hole where at the end of the day, like we've got to navigate that, even just our emotions and how we're showing up. And Lori gave such a great example of, the things she started getting proactive to do. Like, I can't just sit here behind my computer and yell at it or hope that a client pops out of it. So had this conversation twice last week. And so I thought, well, I'm gonna bring it up here because I think it's a useful exercise, and was super flattered that Meg Johnson actually used it with Dr. A on the leadership call. the leadership event on Saturday. So something I was taught along the way is that we all have 4 pillars. That basically, if you take a minute, which we are going to do, to think about, like, we talk about the program and the 4 components and how they're the base of a chair. Well, we've all got that in our own being, right? For our own optimal being and how we feel, how we show up, like mind, body, soul. Like, there are things that we do and don't do that contribute to that. So if we think about the 4 pillars, mine are that I know that when I start my morning quiet time and when I start it in my devotions, not on my phone, right? But when I start it in my devotions, if I do that and I do it consistently, I am in a much better headspace. So that's one of mine. The other, and most of you guys know this about me, but exercise is a huge part of my life, and it's a stress relief for me, and endorphins, an empowerment thing. So that I know that when I am moving, exercising, challenging myself, that I know when I'm doing that consistently, that I'm going to be in a better position. Nutrition is my third one. And for the most part, I can be pretty good with my nutrition, but when things like alcohol or peanut M&Ms start having more frequency, I notice a decrease, right? Decrease in my mood, a little frustration if the scale goes up. Look, it starts getting hard to get off it, all those things. So, but if I can keep myself in nutrition, I see some nodding heads, and my hydration, like I know what, so if I'm doing my devotions, doing my and then the other piece of it, and I'm going to tell you, I hate this. I hate it. But I actually learned it a couple of years ago when I was deep in therapy. But journaling for me. If I journal and whether it's a guided journal prompt or just a thought dump, if I can get it out and dump it out, then I know that, you know what I mean? Like later in the day, I might be able to piece something together from something that came out, but like things will just bubble up, and then they don't have as much power. Like once I put them on paper versus when they're humming around in there. So my 4 pillars are doing my morning devotions first thing, exercising daily, nutrition, limiting the alcohol and the sugar, and then journaling, right? And so my opportunity area I know right now is to get back to the journaling. That's one thing that I have let drop. So what I'd like to do is take about 2 minutes, and maybe you've started jotting it down, but what I would like you to do is jot yours down right now, what your 4 are. And if you feel confident or bold, would love for a couple people to maybe put it in the chat what theirs are.
I just wanted to share that journaling, I hate it too. I have a love-hate relationship with it. And I really got off track over the last few months and stopped doing all of that. My morning quiet time, my journaling. And this morning I came in my office and did my quiet time. And it just so happened that today's topic was powerful. And I pulled out one of my journals and I just started writing. And it was shocking for me personally, what it was about. It was about abandonment, and it was all took me back to being a little girl. And I sat here and I just cried. And I thought I must have needed that. I don't know why. That was what just came onto the paper. But I do think that those disciplines are so important because, like you said, Dee, it brings up stuff that, once you can put it on paper, you can react to it, you can deal with it, you can sort it out. But if it's just kind of buried, it's always this little naggy thing that is, You may not even know it's there, but it's there.
Mhm.
I appreciate you talking about it because it was pretty eye-opening to me this morning.
Yeah. That's so powerful. And it really, when we can name it,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like then it sounds like you processed it. Like you know what I mean? It's not about, it may still be in there, but at least now you're more empowered. Kind of like when we talked about at the beginning, when you can start to see your own limitations or your thoughts and become that awareness, you can start to do something
Yeah.
about it. So thank you guys for sharing this. It might be something I would say to talk about with your mentor. Like if I'm not your mentor directly, or if I am your mentor, I would love for you to text this to me. And if there's something that you've been not doing, like these two individuals, like they're now texting me like 3 out of 4, 4 out of 4, like on a daily basis to get themselves back in the habit, right, of doing it. So of doing those things that we know that if we do them, and sometimes we have to start doing them when we don't feel like it. So I would love to maybe hear from somebody who's brave enough to share that maybe they've identified what theirs are and maybe they haven't been doing them, and maybe what that effect is, or maybe how this has inspired you to get back to it.
I can share.
Okay, Lucy.
For me, quiet time is definitely one of my top pillar, but I've with that, or a secondary to that, is being outside in my garden. I've kind of discovered that, um, I guess this year, just being outside and being in nature and just even just going out every day to see if I see a new bud or flowering of some new vegetable that just helps me. Exercise is there as well as my third. I don't know if it's my second or my third, but it's right up there after my quiet time. But a new thing that I've discovered about myself as a form of self-care, and I shared this with my health coach a couple weeks ago to Sam, is just reading. And not reading for personal development, but just reading to lose myself in a story because it just relaxes me. And so actually I was a little late getting on the call because I went to the Goodwill and picked up 4 new books. They're 99 cents at the Goodwill. And I'm excited to read those new books, but that's something that's new that I've really discovered about myself. Is just being able to lose myself in a story, and just you know the twists and the turns that come about. Nothing, I don't like tragic, or gory stuff, but just like a beautiful story, I just love to lose myself in.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I love that discovery. What I kind of heard you saying, so like that, the reading, it doesn't sound like you're in an escape mode so much as it's an intentional downtime to let your brain focus on something else. And I had
Yes.
that vision when you talked about going outside and looking for a new bud or whatever in the garden. Well, that's slowing your brain down and getting it off.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? We all get on that track and the mind is just go, 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 go. So just
Mhm.
kind of slowing down, focusing on something else, right? And I
Yeah.
did the same thing. Like I'm intentionally in a book club to be able to read a fiction book, to be able to sit
Mhm.
down and just do something different with my brain.
Right.
So
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. How about one more person sharing? And if this was helpful to you, I'd love to hear that.
I can share, Dee.
Okay.
Okay. So for me, the first thing that I have to do, and since I started implementing this, I feel so much better in a lot of ways, is doing my exercise first. Because I find if I don't exercise literally as soon as I get out of bed, put my t-shirt, put my workout clothes on and get to town, it just doesn't happen. The day gets away from me, and I feel such a release when I do that, of any tensions left over from the other, that I've slept with or didn't get rid of. That's really been helping me, and I've been pretty consistent with that now for the last few months. The second thing is making sure then I take my shower, I get right into my time with God, because that really does set my focus for the day. And I've been really reading, I was sharing with Meg earlier about like being strong and courageous and the story of Joshua, and really digging down into that and seeing, where am I feeling discouraged and why am I not being strong and courageous? Like, what do I need to do differently in my own up here, you know? It's not about the do. It's about how am I thinking about life and Optavia and all these things. My nutrition and hydration. I've been trying to figure out maybe some of the like exercise people can help me with this, because since I started adding in the exercise, I haven't changed my diet radically, but I've actually gained 5 pounds. Is that normal? Like when you start exercising, or maybe not? I don't know. I need some guidance on that, because part of me freaks out when I see the scale, but my clothes are fitting better. So I lost inches and all that. So I'm not sure about that, but I'm always getting my water in. And when I don't, I get a headache. So I really know I need to do that. And then one thing I've discovered with me is that I need to have fun during the week. I have to schedule in fun, something to do, whether it's with my husband or not, or just the girls. I need to do something that is just community and fun and just being and just living life. Right. So I really have to schedule that in, because otherwise I won't. And then I just become really not a lot of fun to be around. I need fun. So anyway, that's it for me.
That's really good. Really good. And I think that some people are dropping some things in the comments, so that's probably offline to talk about your muscle and whatever scale. But Amy Kemp, when she spoke at Awaken, I think it was 2 years ago, and she's talked about guilt-free playtime. And that honestly, when you have some guilt-free playtime, that can actually help with productivity. Even as simple as Lucy saying she wants to read her book, right? If Lucy blocks in her calendar that she's going to read from 2 to 4, well, then most likely she's going to be more, proactive and getting her work done before 2 o'clock. Right. Because then, whatever. And so having that on your calendar, et cetera, I think is important, and probably something that a lot of us need to do, right? Is to really, that's why we do this. That's why we have these flexible schedules. And the one thing I've learned over the years is that my brain will want to say, I've got to work, I got to hustle, I got to be doing all the things. But the reality is, whenever I say yes to other things, like, it's not like my business plummets, right? Like, there is a way to be able to do it all. It's just, I've got to fight my own thought patterns that say, work harder, work harder, work harder. Because we actually want to work smarter is what we want to do. So good. Well, thank you guys for sharing. Again, I encourage you to text your mentor. So, your mentor, like, text me if I partner with you, or Meg or Lauren, whoever, but text them your 4 pillars, just so we can help hold you accountable, because this is all for growth, right? But I wanted to give a big shout out next. First, how about Meg Johnson, MC on Saturday's leadership thing? She was phenomenal. Seen so many leaders behind the scenes congratulating you, Meg. So thank you for that. And I know you were kind of dragging last week, so it was kind of fun to see you be able to pull that together. And then she facilitated, and Meredith shared her story. So Meredith was able to be a piece of that as well. And Lauren Yeomans did an interview with me. So shout out to everybody who dedicated their time. And I'll be honest, I was on the committee for it, right? I was on the committee. We spent weeks and hours and hours and hours. And honestly, even before Saturday, I was kind of dragging, like, do I want to do another training? Oh my God, from 11 to 4, like, I just want you to know, like, all this stuff, or maybe these thoughts don't go through your mind, but they go through my mind. And so I just want to be honest with you that I'm not over here all the time going, yay, another 6 hours of training. But I will tell you, I walked away. I was so glad I invested in it. Like, you know what I mean? In all of it, got the recordings today so I can watch the section. Because I led a room, so I didn't get to hear the section that would be appropriate for my level. But there is something about connecting at that higher level, and you know what I mean? Getting out of our thought patterns and our whatever. So would love some feedback from maybe anybody who attended on something that resonated with you, or just maybe the experience itself, or even if you didn't attend, but you wish you did now in hindsight. Like, would love just to open it up a little bit for your feedback.
I've had a realization just now that the exercise on values aligns with my 4 pillars.
As it should, right? When we really think about it. Do you want to just maybe give a 1-minute synopsis of that value exercise, maybe for somebody who wasn't on, Connie?
Okay. I like the way that they went about it, and I've got it right here to look at. It was, I don't even remember what all it was listing, maybe the things that were important to me, things that I spent my time on, and then going back and I took colored pencils and categorized them where they could seem to cross over. So I could see the common area of where I spent my time, because we, you know, I've learned, I can't include you, but I've learned that the things that I've put my time on is what I'm focused on. And so sometimes the distractions become bigger than what really my values are, and kind of shove my values out of alignment. And it's then when I got to see these 4 areas that all fell together with the circles, I was kind of amazed, because I guide people through exercises similar to this. And I did them a few years ago, but it's been like 3 years since I did my values, and some of the things are the same and they're a little bit different with the wording. My quiet time and my journaling and my time with God are always first in the morning. Movement and time with nature, because I can move in the house, but it's really different for me to connect outside with nature, because God tends to speak back to me rather than just prayer and devotion. I'm listening. And then my nutrition and my hydration and my sleep, and is so important. And the big one to me was kind of came under the category of connection. And it's that connection with my higher power, with people, with nature, with my creativity, and how when I'm aligned with these things that I'm inspired. My life comes from a place of inspiration. And it was pretty, it's been dormant. I don't know. Another one is I think, and so it was kind of like a coming back home to, wow, one of the main things is I love creating experiences and events for people. You know, being a part of the party at the team party created a liveness within me. I've done several different things for my group of women and my other communities here. But then when I think about doing it that I do really easily, but when I do it to ask people and to bring them in and I've gotten weird about it, like I'm asking them to buy something. And so I need to just focus on creating experiences, because it really, it makes me feel vital and alive.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. If you missed that, I'm going to put it, you can purchase the recordings. I mean, it's $29.99. I mean, it's $30, a great investment. I mean, the level of training that we get, you guys, is amazing. But this values exercise really is around, for anything, I think it just, for that would be worthwhile to go through that exercise, because that's what Optavia is designed for. Optavia is to help us design our life around what is most important to us. And even being within it, we can be so far in it that we can actually lose connection with our values, that maybe we're not actually dedicating the time to the things that are most important to us. But the more connected you are and centering your life around your values and what's most important to you, like if hosting events, et cetera, brings her Connie fulfillment, the less she's doing that, then the less connected she's going to be, the less attractive this is going to be to other people, etc. But because she's just not going to be fulfilled. But the more in touch you are with you and you understand this process, you'll get better at asking your clients and asking better questions to other people to be able to determine, right, if their life is centered around that. And when Lauren spoke on my call, we talked about her highest values, and her highest values were family time, right? Being able to, create experiences with her families, her floral, like things like that. And it was through Optavia, and she didn't see it at the beginning, but it was through Optavia because she had a great professional career. She had whatever, but once she saw it, that Optavia could actually be the vehicle for that, her life is so much more fulfilled because of the fact that she is home with her daughters, right? She has Optavia, she can work on a more flexible schedule, allows her the ability to pursue other, creative outlets. So it's just kind of cool. So real important. So I'll pop that in the chat as Vicky's going to share with us.
Yes, so like real fast, I did a small event from 9 to 11 Saturday morning, and it was that much better because Lori Cole drove here from Tennessee to share that with me. And then Lucy and another coach stayed for a part of the training starting at 11. And what I learned is that honestly, watching it with other people, and I'm going to do a disclosure on that in a minute, but watching it with other people was really good because there was interaction with us. It was like, oh my gosh, did you hear that? And that surprised me. And that was, so it got some communication, which was really positive. The downside is that we may have gotten distracted with some conversation and missed part of it, but that's the joy of the recording. So plus, I'm not going to lie, after having people here for 2 hours and doing that and then going into the training, in hindsight, maybe it wasn't the best decision, but on the other hand, it's okay. I mean, it worked out, but just, and then Lori and I were able to talk about it more that afternoon and that evening and just kind of share ideas and bolster each other up. So if you have the opportunity to be with other coaches who are friends that you love and you trust, I would say do it and pull the stuff that we just learned on Saturday as conversation starters.
Yeah, that's so good. So good. Well, I see a lot of comments. A lot of people got to see part of it, not all of it, going to watch the recordings, whatever. I would say schedule it. Schedule when you're going to watch the recordings. Because I just heard that the other day, like if you can't be on a call live, and Jennifer Cecilia, and I think you do this well, like where you have it scheduled on your calendar when you're going to watch the recording. Because if we don't, like, it's going to be like, oh yeah, I meant to go back to that. So that would be my little pro tip on that, is maybe schedule a time on your calendar this week that you will watch those recordings. Meg, anything to share on that?
I was just going to say thanks for the little call out on that, because I do schedule them in my calendar. We've had so many trainings lately. I feel like a failure. I mean, I just cannot right now. And I know you and I have talked about it before. Like, I'm not a failure. You do what you do. We don't have to do all of them, but I used to be able to do all of them, and I can't now. Because there's just, y'all know, there's something all the time. And when we talk about fulfillment, like, I will not give up my evenings or my weekends, period. It's non-negotiable for me. I have 1 year left with my son living at home, and I'm not giving anything up. And I don't work. I do Optavia full time. So I've got all day while they're at school to do it, and so it's a trade-off for me. But I would just reiterate what Dee just said. Like, you've got to put it in your calendar, or it will be so backlogged up that you won't be able to get it done. I mean, maybe you will, but I just think you've got to calendar it. So it's been very helpful.
Well, right. And if we don't, then that starts that whole shame cycle, right? And then it's kind of spinning like, oh crap, you know what I mean? I got so much to do. And like, you know what I mean? And we're kind of spinning, not doing anything. So yeah, thanks for the reinforcement on that.
So good. I needed that too, Jennifer. I've been buying lots of personal development and then collecting it like it's going to help anything if I don't do it. So sometimes we need to just figure out, and your mentorship can probably help you figure out, where do you need to be spending your time? Where is your highest value time spent? So thanks for keeping it real with us. I wanted to make sure everybody knew Monday night that the client calls have been shortened. So those are only 30 minutes. So they are 8 to 8:30. I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. And tonight's is going to be exceptional. It's going to be the dominant force in your life, which you remember probably is the call we do every month that drips coaching, but it's also bringing in the active line. So highly recommend that. And just wanted to put a little shout out and a plug in that they're just 30 minutes now. So highly recommend being a part of them each week.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you, Meg, for the influence you've had in there, being able to change up the graphics and, just the suggestions. And I know you have to, have influence, tread whatever, but you've done a great job with that. So, good. Well, we're going to cover a lot on Team Time tonight. There's a lot happening this week. There's whatever. So kind of be in the know tonight. Encourage you to do personal reach outs to coaches on your team. Invite them to be on Team Time with us tonight as well. But before we wrap this up, we try to keep it around 45 minutes, but just wanted to open it up. If you've got any specific questions about what we've talked about, anything that's been on your mind, or the upcoming things like active, the fat burn blitz, those sorts of things.
I have a question. Has anybody put together something that you're sending to clients like in Connect around active being launched? Like the verbiage?
My plan, and it might not be today, it might be in the morning, but my plan is to draft an email that has two parts. One about the fat burn blitz. I'm going to put that first because I think even a lot of our active, existing clients, but also our inactives, that's generating a lot of interest. And then I'm going to put a part 2 in there about the active line in there. I'm going to just put it in one email because I thought if I send 2, it's just going to be too much.
Okay.
So my intention was that I would share that, and then anybody could adapt it to whatever your language is, but at least give you a starting point or copy it, whatever you want.
Thank you.
I just did that. I used what you put on the Live and Be Healthy, and with that picture, and I sent that to all my active clients today. So
perfect. And Optavia is the next 3 Wednesdays, and there's a lot, right? Because they're going to cover it on Monday night call tonight, but the next 3 Wednesdays are designed at 8 p.m. They're called community calls. They're for clients and coaches with more information and training about the active line. So this is a huge opportunity for us. I know it's new, et cetera, but we don't want to miss it and miss that opportunity with our clients. So we'll all take it one step at a time, but I'm really, really grateful for all the info that's out there for us.
The 3 are gonna all add to one another, or the clients pick one of the 3 weeks and it's the same information?
To be honest with you, I don't have the answer to that. It was just on our global leadership call. They just said the next 3 weeks. So Meg, I don't know if you heard anything otherwise.
My understanding is they're each going to be different, kind of like that they did different things each time in our coach one. I bet it'll be similar, but just different each week. So similar to the coach training, but for clients.
And then I'm sorry, I have one more question. We talked about this on Time for You a little bit, but if we're going to start promoting active once a day for everyone, because that's what the research that Optavia is putting out says, has anybody done the math on this in terms of like what the price costs? Because if they're a brand new client, are they still getting, I don't understand how it works to tell them what it's going to cost.
So glad you asked. We are going to be talking about this on the call tonight with coaches, but I'll show you real quick. So here are the new acquisition offers. So the optimal weight 5-in-1 plan, you'll notice 22 fuelings per day. It's $13.21. Everybody hopefully knows by now you will no longer have 5 free boxes as of Wednesday. Instead, everybody will get about 23% off. It's going to be $1 amount off when you enroll in Premier. Okay. So the discount's $115 if you order the 5-in-1. The 5-in-1 active plan that you were talking about, it's $14.72 a day. And the discount jumps up to $130 off. So there's a net price with the Habits of Health. So maybe screenshot this. We'll also have it for you tonight. And then you'll notice the other plans are on here as well. And it includes that the 3 and 3 active plan has the price for 1 whey protein serving a day. Is this helpful? Good.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Anything else?
Good, good, good. Well, awesome. I hope that if you had to re-rate yourself with your energy, I hope it's a little more than when you started this call. Again, let's focus on the gratitude, the 4 pillars, and then being on that call tonight with the be in the know. So, all right. Appreciate every single one of you. Great job investing in yourself, being here, and we'll see you tonight on Team Time.